Good morning to you. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis, and we've got your HCC news and information for the next half hour or so. It is a Wednesday, April the 7th, and my co-host this morning is Brittany Pacheco. April the 7th. We're already in April of 2021. Brittany, can you believe it?
I can believe it. And for anyone, wanting to keep track, my birthday is in 21 days. Just saying.
All right. So do you have a wish list out there?
Yes, I do. I can make a shareable Amazon wish list.
Okay. Of course you can. Of course you can. So you've got a birthday coming up. Are you going to go anywhere for the birthday?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. So stay on track with not going anywhere. All right. Get to it, Brittany. I know you got a lot to remind the folks, and then we got a great show coming up.
I do. So aside from my birthday, that's in 21 days, just in case you missed out on that, I do want to take the opportunity to remind everyone to please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's right. We do have a YouTube channel where we have thousands of videos ranging from this show up to the minute, to the topic, to global outlook, and many, many, many more. So be sure to check it out. Once again, subscribe, hit that notification bell also, so you can be the first to find out the latest uploads from us. And last but not least, to our audience, we do need your help spreading the word about Up to the Minute. Click that share button at the bottom of this broadcast. That way it pops up on your personal news feed. So not only we can grow our audience, but just more importantly, share information that others may not know of, like my birthday that's in 21 days.
I think we all know about it now. Brittany's birthday is in 21 days. Okay. All right. We'll put you, we'll get to that wish list right after the show. All right. So important things going on besides Brittany's birthday. Twice a month, we always have a fitness expert on our show. Today's no exception. It's on a Wednesday. And Dr. Christopher Segler, he's a world-renowned foot and ankle surgeon, but most importantly, a former HCC student. He's out in the San Francisco Bay Area. Good morning to you, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, Chris, what's the weather out there like today? Because I have a feeling in Houston, it's a bit like it would be in San Francisco. It's cloudy, it's a little bit cool, a little bit windy, and that's what we got here.
Well, it is. So it's always that way out here. It's a little bit cloudy and a little bit cool in the morning, but that's okay. It'll warm up in no time, and then it'll be bright sunshine and low humidity. So I can't complain about that.
Well, you got us on the humidity there, because we never get low humidity even in winter here in Houston. All right, Chris, stand by. We're going to check in with you. We're looking to hear about some injuries you may pop up when you start running. We'll talk with Chris very shortly. But first, at the top of our show, please welcome Dr. Chassity Holliman-Douglas. She is the Associate Vice Chancellor here at HCC for Special Programs and Success. Good morning, Dr. Holliman-Douglas. How are you?
Good morning, Todd and listeners, watchers.
Hope to have you back again, but we're talking about a very important initiative that HCC has going on. And it's hard to believe. Could we be the first community college or the first local college initiating a smoke-free environment?
The first community college in the Houston service area. So that's a very exciting point that we're hoping to achieve.
So I know we've seen the emails go out to the faculty and staff and the students as well, but what exactly is happening? What are you trying to do with this Smoke-Free HCC initiative?
Yeah, so we were approached about a year ago by an organization called Truth Initiatives. They are the largest nonprofit public health organization in the nation, whose sole mission is helping organizations become smoke-free. And so not only did they approach us with the plan, but they also gave us money to be able to do this. So we were awarded a grant. And so we're just trying to make HCC a healthier place for everyone here. So there's a whole plan that I can tell you more about that looks at assessment, making sure that people are actually interested in wanting to be smoke-free, looking at who's actually currently smoking, but then also education. So a lot of those events that you've been seeing so far, those are all of our education and engagement events, trying to get the word out to our community.
A lot of people may not know, but they may think that, well, we thought HCC's campuses were smoke-free anyway, but that's currently not the case, is it?
It's not the case for all of our campuses. And actually, Coleman is the only college that actually has a smoke-free policy, and it's due to where they're located on the medical campus. And so we're trying to be like Coleman. We're trying to implement a policy across our entire district where smoking will not be prohibited, but we're also trying to provide the cessation and treatment plan that can help people if they're interested in stopping smoking.
Let's talk about that, because obviously with smokers, it's a very unhealthy habit, but it's an addictive habit. So what plans do you have in place? What resources are out there for people who may want to get more healthy and kick the cigarettes for good, not just on HCC campuses, but for good altogether?
That's right. Colleges are the prime place for this type of initiative to take place, because for colleges in particular, 98% of all smokers start before the age of 26. And we know advertisers typically target communities of color and also lower income communities. So with HCC being as diverse as it is, this is a great initiative for us to implement to be healthier. And so we've already sent our counselors, our student counselors, to become certified tobacco treatment specialists. So we are ready to be able to serve students who are interested in stopping smoking. We're also implementing a digital quit smoking plan and online community through a system called Become an X. And so these are programs that we're able to access through Truth Initiatives. And then the final cessation program is a text message program, and it's called This Is Quitting. And so anyone who wants to sign up for this program, they'll receive daily text messages that help them to, coach them through how to stop smoking.
You're also working very heavily with student life, as you mentioned with this. How important is it to get student life on board for this campaign?
Well, Student Life has really been spearheading everything, especially for our education and engagement events, and our students, our student government associations. They've been heavily involved in this process. And I think without students, this type of initiative, this type of policy can't happen. And so we've heard very loudly from our students about their support. In November, you may remember we sent a survey out to the entire campus, faculty, staff, and students. And we heard overwhelmingly support from our community for this type of initiative. So all of the great events we have in store, we have contests in store, songwriting contests, we have a poster contest. All of those are the brainchild of our students.
And I understand.
And so I was just going to say, you can find out more about these on Presence.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask. I understand there's a location people can go to get more information. Where can they go? Can they go to our website and pull up information?
It's on our Presence site, which is tinyurl.com/HCC Smoke-Free. That is our website. And so if you'll go there, all of our information is there, and you can register for all of the events.
Okay. Is there a deadline where you'd like to get this? Does it have to be voted on by the board? What are the next steps? It seems like you have the faculty, the staff, and the student support behind you. What are the next steps to implement this?
So currently, we're working with our Office of General Counsel, and they are reviewing our current policies. They're looking at, our policies clearly state that smoking is prohibited, but there may be a need for a regulation. And so they are working on developing that regulation, which will go, I'm sorry, I have a 2-year-old, which will. Yes, thank you. Hold on, son. Which will go through the Chancellor's executive cabinet for approval. And so those are our next step. Our timeline is to hopefully have this implemented by June.
Well, it sounds like you got a busy household behind you there with the 2-year-old, but we appreciate you joining us on the show. Dr. Chassity Holliman-Douglas, Associate Vice Chancellor of Special Programming and Success here at HCC. We'll also have the information on the Smoke-Free campaign in our social media post. That tiny URL, we'll have that in the social media post for the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, have
a
good day.
You too.
Okay, we are going to move on. Brittany, do you have a question? I saw you raise your hand. No? Okay. All right. All right. Brittany every now and then has a question. Dr. Christopher Segler has joined us now, former HCC student, also foot and ankle surgeon. Chris, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I started running in my 40s. For the first few months, everything hurt from my waist down. All my joints, my legs hurt, I was sore, and it didn't get better for a while. But while this may be normal injuries, if you're starting running, I guess there are some things that people need to look out for.
Yeah, that's true. So, you know, like you described, everybody who starts running, and even those of us who really dialed back our activities with the gym shutdowns and, you know, races canceled and all that sort of stuff during the pandemic, you know, it is true that you're going to have a lot of discomfort and even some aches and pains when you get back to running. But there's a big difference between, you know, that soreness and stiffness and all the sort of aches and pains you get from beginning a new running routine or ramping up to a new level versus something that really can turn into trouble, like an overtraining injury. Yeah. And, you know, that's really what you've got to watch out for. And there is a difference, and you can tell the difference. So just because you have aches and pains, it doesn't mean you need to stop running necessarily, but you need to know what to watch out for. That's for sure.
Are there some normal things? You mentioned some of the normal things, the aches and pains, but what are some of the big things you need to watch out for? I know shin splints are a big deal. I've had them once in my running career. I don't want to ever have them again. Is that because of overtraining? How do you get those?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, you know, when you think about, well, what training is, right? And all training is, whether you're going to the gym and lifting weights or you're going out for a run or you're, you know, doing a rower in your basement. Training is basically the process of doing deliberate workouts that tax your system in a way that deliberately causes tissue damage. As a consequence of that tissue damage, you repair the tissue and the muscles and tendons and ligaments and bones and everything else gets stronger, and then you can do more. So overtraining means you did too much. The problem is that a lot of times when we go to a doctor and we say, hey, I have this shin splint thing going on, they say, well, maybe you ought to dial back your running, or maybe you ought to switch to swimming or something. And that's really a cop-out, you know. But if you think about it in terms of the athletic training and what it really means, when you get an overtraining injury, the only thing that happened is that you did a little bit too much activity when you were insufficiently recovered. And so what you point to, though, is a really good example. You know, shin splints, you have not just pain in your leg. It's not even just pain on the front of your leg. It is pain in one specific spot on the front of your leg when you get it. And that points to one of the signs that really indicates that, you know, this is something to not ignore. And that is that, like you described, you know, when you start running, you have kind of pain and soreness all over. But when you get an overtraining injury, it is not pain all over. It's pain in one particular spot. You can literally put your finger on it. That's different.
Chris, we have a number of runners here at HCC, and a friend of our show, Dr. Amy Tan, she's one of our instructors with the English department, and she runs just about every day. And she's really picked up her running during the shutdown. And she posted an article, which I found fascinating. It was back last summer, and it said one of the most common sports injuries they're noticing in the Houston area are microfractures in legs. Is this because more people were heading out to the park when the gyms were closed and a lot of us were doing more running than really we ever have?
Yeah, so it certainly can be. But, you know, but again, microfractures are not caused by running. Microfractures are caused by applying too much specific stress to one particular piece of tissue in a repetitive way. So it's not running, it's doing the same thing the same way without insufficient recovery in between. What's happened during the shutdown is that, you know, all the gyms are closed. Yeah. Right. So, you know, that's a real problem. So when you take someone who really trains a lot, who runs daily, but is also doing strength training and other things to actually support all of the stress that's applied to our bodies during running at a high level, and you remove that, we just removed all the support. And, you know, and also a lot of people have been doing I've seen lots of people with very weird injuries, you know, where they're doing lots of box jumps, or they're doing lots of planks, or they're doing lots of stair climbers, or some specific thing, but they're doing it at many multiples of what they would normally do because they don't have access to gym equipment and other, you know, ways of maintaining their fitness that's sort of more well-rounded. And so it just comes back to this idea of, you know, you get focal pain from focal stress applied to one piece of tissue. And if you do the same thing, if you focus on one exercise, you're going to get a focal problem.
And that focal problem, if it lasts for a certain period of time, then you should be concerned, I guess. And when do you need to worry?
Yeah, so there are really only three things that I think of as the big keys to look for. Number one is bruising and swelling. So, if you have bruising, that means that something tore, ripped, cracked, something enough that you get bleeding under the skin and you see it as a bruise. If you have swelling, you have excess fluid in the tissue, which implies some kind of healing process going on. That's the first thing. So if you see any outward sign of real trouble like that, that's a problem. If you have focal tenderness, that's the second thing. And the third thing is how long it lasts. So, you can do a long run and step off the sidewalk wrong on one particular step, and that can cause a little bit of increased stress and tissue damage. But if that goes on for 3 days or more, that's when you should be concerned. So pain in one spot that lasts more than 3 days is something you need to start thinking about getting checked out.
Yeah, when the shutdown first started, my running increased dramatically, probably about 75 to 80%. And I was running just about every day. And then, went out of town for a little bit, came back into Houston, and it was really hot outside. And I decided I need to take some days off. How important are those rest days? Because sometimes when you're not getting to the gym and you're sedentary most of the day, you want to get out, you want to overexert yourself, get that run in, and you want to keep on a schedule. How there's rest days now?
Yeah. So, all I do is help injured runners. And every day I'm doing calls with injured runners. I do telemedicine visits and all that. Now, I really do. And I lecture at medical conferences on running injuries to physicians. And every single time I lecture at a conference, I tell them, look, if you have patients that are getting a rolling series of overtraining injuries, I really and truly believe that if every runner only ran every other day, then that would eliminate 85% of the patients I see. And so, rest days are crucially important. The problem is if you're a high level runner, if you're somebody who's doing 100-mile weeks, well, you can't do a 30-mile run every other day, so it becomes very, very tricky when you are somebody who puts in really long hours of training because you're an elite marathoner or something like that, but if you can do something else to supplement your running fitness, like cycling, swimming, going to the gym, doing a class, something else, I think there's a tremendous benefit in that because the stresses that get applied to the tissues are different when you do those different workouts.
Well, I think it would be safe to say that most of us aren't elite marathon runners, and if I try to run 100 miles a week, I'd probably be on the phone with you the first week trying to figure out what's wrong with me.
No, but this is true. But for all of us, it's the same thing. We start thinking if we don't run, that makes us, slothful or something. And so we basically do just a sort of a smaller version of what these elite runners do. And training every single day without a rest day is just, you're kind of inviting disaster, really.
Yeah. And you talked about this when we first started talking about getting out and running. And I still maintain, run for half an hour, just focus on half an hour, maybe walk, just stay active for that half an hour. And I always focus on the time as opposed to the mileage, especially since I'm not an elite marathon runner. For new runners, is that still the best way to do this?
I think it is. And the reality is that most brand new runners are not the ones that get injured. It's after you start building some aerobic fitness, you start building some strength, and then you're actually strong enough to go do something where you can hurt yourself. And that's when it's important to really kind of force yourself to rest or do things a little bit differently. Yesterday, I went on a run that was a bit longer than what I've been doing recently, and I ran without my GPS watch. Now, I know how far it is to pretty much everything for any given distance around my house because I do those runs all the time, right. But I ran without a watch because it is very difficult for me to run and not keep looking at my pace. And when you're doing a longer run, the goal is to just run for a long time and keep running, not to run at a marathon pace or a 5K pace or anything else. And so sometimes just those little shifts, like running without a watch, or just saying, I'm going to go run for 1 hour as opposed to I'm going to go run, 6 miles in 1 hour, or I'm going to run 8 miles in 1 hour. It's a lot better to do that where you say, I'm going to go run and in half an hour, I'm going to turn around and come back. Like that makes a lot more sense.
Running without my Garmin, though, that's sacrilege in a lot of times because I've heard if you don't have your Garmin, it didn't happen. So
yeah.
I guess
it's hard. It's tough, but this is the problem. And that's the sort of thinking that leads us into trouble. And it's where we take a tool that's supposed to serve us and we start to serve it.
So Chris, next time we've had some requests with some people heading out for the summer, looking to do some hiking, maybe some trail running. So we wanted to see if maybe next time we can talk about that with you for those who are looking to get out this summer on a vacation.
Yeah, that's right. So next time we're going to talk about how hiking is a little bit different from running in terms of how you build your fitness, and how fitness for walking really is different than running. And also, this is a big problem. If you're going to go do hikes in mountains, and I did that when I lived in Houston. I left Houston, went and I climbed Mount Hood. I did some hiking in the Sierras in Alaska, and Houston's flat. Yeah. I mean, it's so, you can't go pick your local mountain and just hike up it all day like you can in California or Colorado. So you really have to try to be creative and come up with some strategies that will actually help you build that fitness that's really necessary for those big hills when you're trying to train in some place that's a flat elevation.
Dr. Christopher Segler, foot and ankle surgeon. He does telemedicine, folks. If you have some questions or some things that you'd like to get checked out, make sure you check him out. He's known as the Doc on the Run. Chris, where can they find you?
Yeah, docontherun.com. So you can find me there.
All right. We'll have the link in our social media post. Thanks for being here, Chris. We'll see you in a couple of weeks again.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay, we're going to move on with our news and information for today. Brittany, we've got, let's see, I think this is today. There's going to be a talk, which will be important for a lot of our students, and it should be pretty enlightening.
That's right. So HCC history professor Dr. John Huntington, who has written a book called Far Right Vanguard, The Radical Roots of Modern Conservatism, will chronicle the ultra-conservative movement and why it is on the rise. And as Todd mentioned, that's happening today at 3 p.m. We will have a link in our post. But for more information, you can contact Lauren, that's LAURAN.Kerharley. I probably mispronounced that. Sorry. At hccs.edu. We'll be sure to include that email in the post after the show.
Music to our ears. Our faculty music recital is coming up. We usually have those in person, not doing it this year, of course. It's one of HCC's most popular events of the concert season. The now virtual performance will feature an eclectic program of romantic, impressionist, contemporary, and classical music, all types of stuff. It's free. It's on EduTube, and it's 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, April the 8th. Registration's not required, but we'll have the link for more information in the social media posts for the show. Building a sense of belonging. Brittany, what's that all about?
So several gatherings of HCC faculty, staff, and community partners will provide opportunities for action-oriented approaches to a more connected and inclusive environment for us all. Now that's going on this Friday, April 9th from 9 a.m. to noon. And then again, April 16th, 23rd, and 30th. Keynote speakers will include HCC students and HCC representatives from legal, our Office of Institutional Equity, and EEOC, which right off the top of my head, I can't remember what that stands for. But anyway, it's from HCC, just saying. Check your email for updates and to register.
Brittany, we were talking with Dr. Holliman-Douglas earlier about the Smoke-Free HCC Initiative, and Student Life and Environmental Enhancement and Wellness Committees invite students, faculty, and staff to participate in a few current events, contests, and giveaways. All of these contests have a April 16th deadline. One is called Real People, Real Stories. Let's Quit Together. That's a video contest where students, faculty, and staff are invited to share a 15 to 30-second video message on tobacco, vaping use, and how their families' lives have changed as a result of these habits. So also there's the Clean the Air Song Scholarship Contest. That one, you can create a song and win some prizes. And then there's a poster contest as well. For all of these contests, your chance to enter them, win some swag, you can email them. We'll have the link in the social media post for the show. So once again, registration, Brittany, is underway for the summer session, but very quickly, our fall registration is going to be open as well.
That's right. So fall registration for 2021 will begin April 12th, which is what, next Monday? Yeah. right around the corner. So don't delay. Be sure to lock in your classes ahead of time, especially for summer registration, because we are expected to have small face-to-face classes. So once again, if you're interested in that type of classroom instruction, be sure to lock in your classes ahead of time. And fall registration will open April 12th. So we are now offering 5 modalities, including full-time face-to-face classes as well as hybrid. But again, they're going to be small. Register early. Crucial. Can't stress that enough, y'all. So those 5 modalities. Online anytime is exactly as it sounds. Traditional online classes without scheduled lectures. So you have that flexibility to work on your coursework when you have time. Online on a schedule is online course with virtual lectures at a specified time that you selected when you registered. And a hybrid lab, which is a new adaptation that we've got, lab classes that meet safely face-to-face on campus and virtually. And the hybrid course is pretty much the same thing, just not a lab. And last is the in-person class. It's safe face-to-face courses with traditional meeting patterns. But once again, all these classes are going to be, especially the face-to-face options, are going to be small to make sure that we are practicing our social distancing and that the face-to-face classes will begin this summer. So for all of this, much more class we have available for summer, and all you head over to hccs.edu/now.
That's right. Make sure you register early, as Brittany said. Okay, so tomorrow I'm excited about our show because we have a place that's right down the street from me. It's called the Hungry Like the Wolf Cafe. And I don't know if you've been there yet, Brittany, but I went there actually it was the day they opened. We went there and had some dinner, and they're an 80s cafe. It's, you'll have to see it to believe it. The name Hungry Like the Wolf says it all. So we'll learn more about their food, their offerings. We'll see the place live tomorrow on the show. And I've got a story behind how they're on the show. So I'll talk more about that when they come on tomorrow. But we'll have the owner, Andrew Adams, and they'll be talking about some of the stuff they make. Get some of these out. Okay, so they've got the Breakfast Club sandwich, Bananarama pancakes, and pour some syrup on me pancakes. So I
think that one's my favorite. That one has to be my favorite.
Yeah.
I love it. That song has aged well.
they also they have a large screen where they play movies and videos, music videos from the 80s as well. So it's like stepping back to, Back to the Future type deal. It's pretty cool. So they'll be on the show tomorrow, and it's Virtual Family Fun Day as well tomorrow. That happens on Thursday, and that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, it's always one of my favorite days, especially to be here on Up to the Minute, because we get that opportunity to talk to different organizations, in the country and even across the pond. That was cool to talk to the Armour Museum in London. So yeah, tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to see what we have in store for the Virtual Family Fun Day. Now that you talked about pancakes, Todd, I really want pancakes.
Well,
I really want them.
Your deal is what? Cheetos and Dr. Pepper?
Root beer, sir.
Root beer. That's what Brittany has. All right.
Breakfast of Champions.
All right, Brittany, you'll be back tomorrow, right?
I will be back tomorrow, Todd.
Okay. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see you live 10 a.m. right here and Up to the Minute. Have a good day.